Okay, good evening. Welcome to the March 18th Palmer Town Council meeting. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is visitors' comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Come on up. Just identify yourself, please.
Hi, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Russ Raymond. I work for the DPW. I was just wondering, because I can't find an answer anywhere, what the status of our contract was. When they voted, it was 12 yes and 11 no. And I was just wondering where we stand, if you can comment on that. I don't know if no one can tell me, whether it's been signed or what's going on with it. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay, so we have the MOU in front of us tonight, and so everything should be finalized tonight.
Okay. So after we voted, there should be nothing more added in this or taken away, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I just wanted to know.
Did you want to add anything, Bob?
Only that I met with Matthew and Roger Stolen and Dennis today just to finalize things. Mm-hmm. Roger's been excellent. I'm surprised no one could tell you where it stood. I mean, they knew we were having this meeting today, but hopefully it's finalized.
Yeah, we just haven't been, there's no communication at all, and, after this contract, we just got to try to get better contact with each other so everyone knows what's going on. That's falls on us, yeah. So, but that's all I wanted to know. I thank you for your time.
Sure. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, we have nothing under old business. Well, I guess we kind of do, which is the contract, but we'll do that in a minute, I guess.
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine.
All right, so under new business, the first item is a discussion regarding the ARPA funds. So let Bob just talk about that a little bit, and then we'll move forward depending on what the council wants to do.
Well, just as a follow-up to the last meeting, I think one of the questions was whether or not depending on how much ARPA money would be going to the parking lots, whether it could be done this season. I think that depends on two things, largely if and when the money would be approved and how much. Matthew and I had a couple of conversations about that today. He doesn't see why it couldn't be, but you're really not going to know the answers to any of those questions until you go out to bid. So, and obviously the longer it takes to commit the money, then the less likely we'll be able to do it this season, because he still does have to go out to bid. To answer the other question about whether it could all be done this season, we could issue a bid that would give a completion date of 2025, which is still within, the money will be committed, it just won't be spent, so it'd still be under the timelines. And then if the scope of work they weren't able to complete it this season for some reason, then it would be in their contract that they would complete it next season. To my knowledge, that was the only question about the ARPA funds. I had brought up the Legion Field. I don't know whether there are any issues with that. That was roughly all-inclusive, $75,000. So depending on how much you may approve for the school parking lot, there may be some other projects that the council has in mind. But again, depending on how much you approve for the parking lot, there will be money left over. The balance is roughly $1.5 million in ARPA. So there would be money for other projects. Some lighting projects were mentioned, or other projects were mentioned which are comparatively small. So you would have time to work on those, issue bids, and have those committed at least before the December deadline.
Would that have to do with sidewalks also, or is that a different fund they're taking that out? Repairing the sidewalks, that's, I think, an ongoing thing.
Well, I think the ARPA, the uses for ARPA are very broad, particularly with public works projects, and I would think sidewalks would be included.
So you said December's the deadline for knowing that the money's going to be spent?
To be committed.
To be committed.
And then another 2 years to actually have it spent.
another 2 years to actually have it spent. Okay, I guess I would like to interject. The gentleman that came here the other night, I know I said that I didn't figure, I think it was you that said, you know, it takes a long time for the designs and this and that, but I'm almost 99% sure that their designs and everything are set to go.
What are we talking about?
The
Forest Lake?
Forest Lake, the water line going so that it can connect from the opposite side of the bridge down to there to get that project going. Just some quick highlights. The gentleman that started it passed away. The other lady that took over, she passed away. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years. To me, this is an investment of roughly $1.5 million worth of tax dollars. And ARPA funds is definitely, I read up on it, you know, for infrastructure projects. I guess for me, before I was to say yes on all this other stuff, I would like to know that we're going down the right road. You know, stop, look at the map, say, hey, geez, you know, maybe this is the more beneficial way to use the money to get tax dollars for the town versus this stuff here isn't like the town's going to die if we don't have the pickleball court or the parking lot fixed right away. You know, we'd figure out how to hopefully do that. But I'm just saying that I think the council needs to really sit down and talk with the planning department, Michael Marciniak, all the stuff that's going on. I had a chance to talk to him. There's other projects that are going to be going on up there. And besides that being a money generating thing for the town, it also is going to take care of, as we all know, the dump has been leaking into wells. We've been taking care of the well issues. And now you have the other dump that could quite possibly start doing the same thing. And there's supposedly a project that somewhere in that vicinity, exactly where, different housing that is tentatively supposed to happen. And it'd be beneficial to have a water line there to augment that. I just think that before, you know, because you can easily commit to either one of them before your December, but I think you truly need to know and have the information of, okay, is this the wisest way? Or, you know, you got 1.5 ARPA funds to utilize that's going to, if you spent it on that, that's going to create you 1.5 every year. Versus if you spent it on this parking lot, that parking lot's not going to make you no money. Or the pickleball courts, you know. I just think to have all that information, whether you have a meeting right quick, and is, like I said, I did get to talk to Mike, and it's unbelievable how much we don't talk to each department and really truly know what's actually going on in the town and what's coming in for development, and to make a wise choice of where to spend that money. I think you need to have that information.
I think so. The ARPA money, the way that the timeline works is that by December of this year, we have to have it committed to a specific project.
Right.
So then whatever happens between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2026, how we spend down that money has to be directly tied to the dollar amount and the specific scope of the project that we approved by December of this year. So that puts us in extreme constraints when it comes to using that money past December 31st of this year. Whereas if we spend down that money anywhere between today and December 31st, it doesn't matter the scope of the project. It doesn't matter what that dollar figure comes in. We have a lot more flexibility in using ARPA.
So you can, quite frankly, still do it with the same thing. If like, say, in the next month you sat and talked with them and said, okay, we want to, they have all their plans together, and, you know, we want to spend down this money towards this certain section of infrastructure, to, I you know, see it as being the same thing. It's still going to get used down, and it'd probably be used up quicker, quite frankly, than what your deadline is. If if I'm indeed not wrong, saying that they've had all their engineering stuff done. I know they've had their approvals to go under the bridge, under the railroad tracks. It's just a matter of money. And just another tidbit to throw in there, I know some people think that without their water tower, that's a big part of it. They can utilize what water tower is there to make everything happen. That's something that they're going to have to figure out down the road. So that, to me, doesn't play into case someone wants, well, geez, we're going to have to. It's just to sit and talk and know what's actually going on that for a project that's going to create this town $1.5 million, and that money can be utilized, and I understand what you're saying, but it can still be utilized and spent by that timeline. But without knowing, you come to a fork in the road, and without knowing which road to take, because you have no information. You have the information with the schools and everything, but none of us, I do, but no one else really has any information of the total aspect, and myself included, the total, am I correct in saying it's totally been designed? I'm almost positive I'd put my mom's life on it because she's already passed, so. But no, serious. I really believe that you need to sit down and with them in the planning department and to get the best direction forward. And this could still be taken care of if I'm totally wrong and off base, but I just think that they need to know this information that I've been able to, listen to.
And I think also the parking lots at the school are in terrible shape, absolutely terrible shape. And it was our goal to do at least half of the parking lot last year, and then that got pushed off because of the track project. So I think it's our responsibility to get that project done.
So to me, it got pushed off because the track was more important than the parking lot. So to me,
the way that it was explained to us, the
the parking lot's not that terrible. Nobody's going to die. It's not falling in sinkholes and this and that.
Well, I frequently.
I don't know. I haven't gone and looked at it, so
I go up there quite frequently, and it's in really rough shape. And I think it's our responsibility to upgrade the parking lot, but also I think we were interested in doing the parking lot last year, but the information we were given was that it can't be done coinciding with the track project being done, which I didn't think that was true at the time. Anyways, I think it still could have been done, but we're past that at this point.
Right.
But I still think that, we have a very low-hanging fruit project that we can spend down this ARPA money that has a lot of flexibility up until December 31st.
My key point is that this ARPA money was supposed to be given and utilized to beneficial the towns, the town people, how much of it ever actually went to help businesses and this and that. To me, I would rather invest the money in something that's going to return my money to be able to further take care of projects that need to be done versus spending it on something that's giving you no return.
So I'm going to let Bob talk for a second, but I just want to say this. One of the things that's really important, and I'm fine with getting more information, Phil, okay? But one of the things that's really important with this ARPA money is it goes beyond the need to commit it all by December 31st. If we don't have very firm timelines and know that every one of those timelines is going to be hit, if we do not spend all that money, so let's say, and again, I don't know if it's been designed, I don't know if all the permits have been obtained, or if it's kind of like the bridge project where things got, pushed out a very long time because of that. So I don't know any of that, okay? The issue is, and we can find all that out, but the issue really is, if after December 31st, once we commit that money, so if we're saying we're going to commit 1.5 million, or whatever the magic number is, okay, to that water line project, and then it does not get fully constructed and all the money spent by December 31st, 2026, we have to give that money back. Because under the guidelines of the ARPA funds, after December 31st, you cannot recommit those funds to a different project. So we just have to be very sure
Yeah, I
that
get
that is
that,
going to
yeah.
happen. So I get what you're saying, but I also think that over the course of the past probably year, well, prior to Bob coming on board, we have gotten a lot of conflicting information on this project, and I think it's really important for us to find out exactly what's going on. And we don't even know, like, once that water line goes in, if we pay for it, first of all, are we paying for 100%? I don't know. Once the water line goes in, what's the timeline for those cottages to be built? Like, is that what is holding up the project from moving forward? So I do,
The water line's what's holding everything up.
but I think that,
And
you know,
the build-out time, I think I'm safe to answer, the build-out time for the project itself is like 5 years or so, you know, to have the total place built out.
okay, but I think that there's
sold
just,
and
there's just a
whatnot.
lot of information that we have to get. And I think, in my opinion, the conduit between the planning board and the town council, or any department and the town council, is the town manager. The town manager
Right.
should be the one that has all the information, and then should be feeding it back
He's
to
long
us.
gone, and.
No, I'm just saying, no, I'm not
No,
in
I'm
the
just
past,
saying
I'm
that.
saying right
I'm
now.
just saying, it's never, you know, the town manager that we've had has never done this, and I'm saying, I'm not trying to pick on anyone here, I'm saying that if nothing else, this has to change to where, you know, like we're sitting here now, I rushed here to get here to be able to speak my mind.
Yep.
So that you could easily say, okay, you know what? Hey, let's, you know, this is all we can commit to you guys. We know you're going to use it. And the other half goes to the parking lot, whatever. But to be able to make that decision, knowing stuff that we don't know.
Well, right, so
You know,
we would
and
not
again, real
we
quick,
would not be able to make
reiterate,
that.
I would rather
decision
spend my
tonight.
money on something knowing that it's going to create money and give back to the town that we can utilize towards further things.
I got one, can I
That's
just say
all.
one thing? Or after Bob, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I just.
But I totally understand all the timeline and stuff, but I really just think that, and again, I agree with you, we don't know half of, but
Right.
I do know that, I'm pretty sure that last I knew, all the engineering and stuff was done, and then the panhandling started. We'll have to say, you know, that Boswell can't come up with it, because they've got to deal with, eventually they're going to have to replace a tank. But it just, I hate to see, you know, this thing's been going on. It's got to be 5 years now that they've been trying to do this. And
Well, I don't
I
think
don't
it's
know.
that long, but, go ahead, Bob.
Well, I would just say, I think much of what I'm going to say, I believe the council's aware of, because I tried to keep you up to date on my meetings and discussions with the water district. But I first met with them a few months ago, primarily about the water tank. And it was explained to me about the issues with the tank. And also because the district felt that there was a connection between the tank and ARPA funds and certain promises that were made. Then I learned that the district was, through a process I don't understand, was going to be responsible for supplying water to the Forest Lake project. So I called the developer, a gentleman named Rick Light, who I've had a number of conversations with. In fact, Mr. Light was aware of the gentleman who was going to be at your last meeting and told me that he might come. The way it was proposed, and what I discussed with Mr. Light and then discussed with the district, was that this was being proposed as a total project, which was going to include the tank. So we were talking I'm just picking numbers here, they're all guesstimates, but $6 to $8 million. Then Matthew and I met with the district, and they came in with the $2 million plan for the water line. I don't know where the $2 million came from, whether that's an accurate number to put in that line, no idea. No time frame, don't know when it would go in, but conveniently it was being funded not only with $1.5 million of your ARPA money, but don't forget it also included $200,000 in Chapter 90 money, and also supposed savings from no longer testing near the landfill. And as Matthew pointed out, those numbers weren't accurate, so that's another thing that needs to be discussed. But to me, I mean, if I were a developer of this, I think that this proposal was a great proposal because it's going to put in the water line. I don't understand, and I've explained this to the developer and to Bondsville, why there's no other money being leveraged, why it's being left up to the town, when it's going to be complete, who's going to supply the water. I mean, there are so many holes here, and I think you have so many questions that need to be answered. I think if you're going to take the time to get the process started and get answers to this question, you're certainly going to miss the season to do the parking lot. But I just don't know. I think you need to see a plan on when, if and when it's ever going to be completed, whether you're going to put in a water line to nowhere. And again, who's going to supply the water, and how is that issue with the tank going to be addressed? I think that's the fundamental issue here. I think that might be a thought, and I'm just speculating, that if that goes in, there's going to be more users, which will help supply money to be able to fix the tank. I just think there are so many questions here that need to be answered. And I'm not saying, I mean, everybody I spoke with thinks that this is a great project for all the reasons that have been mentioned and more. But I just have a lot of questions about this particular plan to get you there. I just think there are so many holes here, and I just think that it was come up really quickly without all the, to say the least, the I's being dotted and the T's being crossed.
You totally missed the fact that going under the river and into Thorndike with a new water line coming from Bondsville, like that whole portion hasn't been discussed either, I don't think.
Yeah,
Is-
so-
is
I wasn't even
Thorndike-
aware
right.
of that, so
Right.
yeah, you
And
don't
And
know
then,
what
well,
you
the
don't know.
reason, right, the big reason is that Thorndike can't supply the water. It's their district. They can't supply the water because their water lines are too small, or there are no water lines or something.
It first transpired that it was supposed to go through Thorndike, and then in their wisdom, they didn't want to deal with Palmer, and they didn't want to rip up their old lines, whatever. And that's when, I don't know, a couple of years ago, said, hey, look, go talk with Bondsville. It's actually the same distance or a shorter route. I know, again, I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive they're not going under the river with their pipes. They're going, because it's a new bridge, that they can actually hang their pipes from the bridge. The only permission they have to get, in which I'm almost
rail.
certain, is the rail.
Yep, the rail.
That's usually the hardest tooth to pull. But, I mean, if he's totally right, you know, that it's that far off and this and that, okay, I get it. But without them answers, for me, that's all.
But that doesn't, where I was going to go earlier.
You know, and as far as who's supposed to supply the water's supposed to be coming from Bondsville. That's why it's coming
Right.
from there. It's coming from Bondsville, and then, you know, how's the tariff? As it enters Thorndike's area, that, you know, they get cut of the pie all of a sudden because now it goes through their district.
Right,
To me,
who's gonna be collecting-
That's the biggest thing that's wrong with
Right,
this.
who's gonna
And
be
how many
collecting-
times I've seen projects fail up at the old Kmart and stuff because of argument between water departments and stuff, you know. But again, I'm just saying that I thought they were ready to pull the trigger and this and that, and I'm saying that we aren't knowledgeable of the total spec, and is it something that, you know, that we could be investing in? If not with this, then we definitely, it needs to stay on the radar to where, look, what do we need to do as a town to make this happen, hopefully? And again, hopefully you're wrong in saying, you know, pipe to nowhere land.
I'm just speculating.
You know.
You know, there are
I
things
mean,
that I don't
how
know.
long is it going to happen till they finally say, you know what, we're getting nowhere, and Bondsville can't do what they say, and we're just going somewhere else. And now, once again, we're
I'm very supportive of having a formal conversation about making this happen, because I do think this project would benefit the town as a whole. But I will never, ever make a decision based off of, oh, well, we just had a conversation here and they're having a conversation over here and they say this is going to be $2 million. Like, no, bring a written proposal.
well, that's what I'm saying. Is where we need to sit
Right.
down
Where the
and
timeline.
see
Right.
everything that they have. Do they truly have, as the impression I'm under, everything ready to rock and roll? Here's the proposal. If not, fine.
Last time it
I'm
was
just
8
blowing
million.
smoke here, but
Right.
the bottom line, if I am, if nothing else, I put it on the radar that, you know,
And when I say written proposal, I don't mean like open up a Word document and just write down everything that
I
you have a
totally
conversation
understand what
about,
you
but I
mean.
say like engineered stamp plans
Exactly.
verified by people who, you know, this is their entire profession with relevant dates. I mean, like kind of like when we get proposals for the wastewater treatment plant that, you know, have been vetted and designed by Ty and Bond, and
Right,
these are
whether it's Ty and
professionally
Bond and,
presented plans.
Kate and Howard or whatever, it would,
Yes.
I totally understand it, but that's what I'm saying is we don't know.
Yeah.
I would like to know before I would make a decision.
Yeah, I'm nervous about the cart before the horse, or however you say that. Because if,
Absolutely.
like you said, a pipeline to nothing, anything could stall the project. There could be spotted turtles, spotted lizards.
I'm
There
sure
could be
is spotted
anything that will
turtles.
stop this project. Is an environmentalist been down there to check for the infamous spotted turtle? You know, anything could, and people are complaining about the amenities in town not being around. There's nothing to do. You know, there's a couple, those horsey rides and slides, but they're asking me for more, but
So oh, go ahead.
So,
if that does work, what Phil says, that's good then. But anything could stop it.
so it's not like we're saying no. It's just for this ARPA money, we need to have clear, defined projects ready to go.
Facts.
Right, facts, right? We have capital. That's what capital is for. Like, we have capital plans for a reason. Like, we can add that to the capital plan or figure out where we can free up some free cash to help with this project. That's not out of the ballpark here. I get where it's coming from, although I would like to know how much money, remember we made that vote, did we put into stabilization because we didn't make a decision on those capital projects, remember? Remember those capital projects that Ryan came to us and said, hey, I've got a bunch of capital projects, and we're like, we're not going to vote on all these because we don't have any information,
Right.
but let's put all this money into stabilization because that money doesn't belong there. That money should be free cash or for capital plans. So I think that money should come out of stabilization and back into the capital stabilization or wherever we're going to put it.
I would disagree with that. If something's in stabilization, it's good there, it's not getting harmed. It takes the majority of the council to move it for
Correct.
when, again, we truly have, as you said, you know.
No, I know,
here's-
but it was
here's
they
a
were
for
real
thing.
capital, right?
But for me, I would not just go move it just because it hasn't been, if it's there, it's safe, leave it alone.
So,
I'm not against that. I want to find out more information.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to spend all this money on a stupid parking lot. Well, really, like, if we look at all the parking lot and all the space up there, like the middle of the area for the school, like where the recess is, that's really bad. With overgrown, like all the stuff coming up and everything. But I can't see spending.
I don't know why we couldn't phase it in. Like, why can't we do the pickleball courts and some of the school, and then next year come back and
Do some
do free
more.
cash with the school next year,
Pre-buy the pavement
or
this year.
whatever, right?
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, we're gonna pre-buy.
Oh,
That's all.
so there's 2.7 million, am I right?
Those are balances as of January.
Let me put my glasses on so I can see.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want to dump.
Yeah, 2.7. So there's 2.7 million in the stabilization fund.
How much was it though? I just want to know how much money, and I agree with you. So when we put money in stabilization, it's supposed to stay there. But this was for projects, capital projects that we were like, hey, because we didn't want to lose it. It was at the end of the fiscal year. We were like, hey, let's stash it into stabilization. We didn't want it to
Yeah,
go.
Well, he didn't want it to close out to,
He didn't want it to close out to free
For
cash,
free
right? So
cash.
we just stuck it in stabilization,
yeah.
right?
I don't remember the dollar amount, but it, I mean, I
Which
don't,
is,
it probably
quite
wasn't
frankly,
more
the
than.
safest place for it to be.
Well, yeah, either is fine. But
Right.
Yeah, so I think we can talk about this all night and we're not gonna get anywhere.
Correct.
So, you know, look, if everyone wants to see what kind of information we can get for our April 11th or whatever our meeting is, somewhere around there, meeting, then that's fine, if that's what you wanna do. I don't know that we'll have more information on more specifics on Bondsville, but we can ask Brad to start doing that when he gets here on the 1st.
I just feel like we can use free cash or other sources of income for that. We don't have to dedicate ARPA funds for it, since we don't know that information, and we do know the information on these two projects.
Yeah,
If we're gonna kick, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
If we're gonna kick this to April, like, we have to make a decision in April
Right.
on
It
something.
has to be done. Right.
Something.
Yeah, I was just saying, I'm ready to make
I-
a decision.
I mean,
I'm
my
not.
biggest, the
No, I mean,
biggest
like,
issue I have is just
split it
that
all up.
my recommendation would be that we allocate the funds and we spend them, and if we can spend them all by December 31st, that's what we do, and then we don't have to worry that we allocated funds to something and it came in at less money, we're just done.
Yes. That's how I feel.
But again, I totally understand what Phil's saying, and, you know, I think though that we have to look at, there's lots of big ticket items coming down the road, and, you know, I think we had conversations about this way back, and I think that the question was, not only from me, but from others, was, you know, what is the buy-in from everybody? And we never got that information. And so we really are still sitting in the same position that we were in a long time ago. And I know that, you know,
We
there-
need all the players, is what it is.
well, we need, well, or-
Everybody should be sitting at the table
well, I
I'm
think,
lost here.
for the project in Bondsville.
Okay.
Is
correct.
that what
but
you're talking
again,
about?
yes, but again, everyone just sitting around the table and having no information doesn't do any
Correct,
good. It's just,
right.
you know, I think it literally has to be, like Jessica just said, actual plans. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where's the engineering plan? Where do we sit? Like, do we have all the permits that we need?
Correct.
Like, where does all that stand? Is there a buy-in from everybody else?
Right, and I want to include Thorndike, so that's not a stopping, right?
Right,
We need to
because-
include everybody.
Yeah,
Right.
and, you know, when that conversation happened with Thorndike, I don't think the conversation was, hey, we'll pay for it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So that could totally be changing
Right.
the whole makeup of what this is all about. I don't know.
Right, who's gonna collect those water revenues?
I
Is
don't-
it Thorndike or is it Bondsville? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just,
There's gonna be a meter
Right.
soon as it goes over that bridge.
it should be.
There's
Right.
gonna be a meter somewhere in that vicinity that, if I'm not mistaken, that now Thorndike's gonna impose some type of tariff to go through their district.
But again, if that's an argument, I mean, you talked about the whole thing with, it was literally the Olson farm, right? That's what you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
talking about.
exactly,
right.
And how many years was that? Forever. Right? So.
Until there is some type of tentative plan finally, I think that was on the books for if something happens up there where
Yeah, how
the
many-
districts will.
How many years later?
No, oh yeah,
you
I
know?
agree, but
So that's the whole thing, because if you start having these turf wars about who, then that's gonna blow that.
That's what I mean,
Right out of
everybody at
Right,
the table.
but that
yes.
section that we're talking about to getting done, that would hopefully beneficial the town for a further project that is supposed to be happening up there, housing, has nothing to do with Thorndike at that point until it crosses the river. But, so, to your point, yeah, I think there should be, quite frankly, a meeting to the Bondsville, Thorndike, and the
condo people,
developer,
right? The developer people.
the planning department saying, show me, put up, for, quite frankly,
Right, but again,
do
I
it.
think all that stuff
Show
has to
me.
happen, not at a council meeting.
Right,
First,
right, exactly.
first
A
things
separate
have to
meeting,
be
right.
discussed, and then come back to us with
Right.
when.
There needs to
now
be a
we have-
game plan.
Right,
Not, we're not
because
making the game plan.
We're not, right.
They need to have a game plan.
I
and come
haven't
to us.
seen the parking lots
Right.
up there and this and that, and to your point of, well, there's other money elsewhere. I would rather see a large portion of money go towards the wastewater projects. You know, would it be more beneficial to get that done?
But we're talking 1.5 or 2 million versus 64 million. It's like not even a drop in the bucket for that one.
Well, it's still something that
So,
alleviates
our
from the
meeting-
taxpayer's
so our meeting
pocket,
is-
which
our
is
meeting is
supposed to be
April 8th.
American Recovery Act, you know.
Well, again, it's pretty broad, it's broad what you can spend the money on, but
Right.
our meeting is April 8th. I
Infrastructure
honestly,
was, I remember, I don't have it on my phone now, but it pretty much infrastructure.
Where's, the
supposed to
gavel?
go towards helping businesses.
it's
that were
it was
in-
basically
in-
anything. It started off being very
impacted.
specific, and then it
So,
changed.
I guess my
but-
question is, how has all the money that's been used helped local businesses and so forth, and our infrastructure out.
So April 8th is our next meeting. I don't think that anything's going to happen between now and April 8th as far as, like, I can't see in a 2-week period that we're going to miss any, you know, to get things out to bid. I don't think it's, especially if we're looking at a summer vacation paving schedule. It's not a spring paving schedule. And if we miss it, I mean, oh well, I guess. I mean, they pave into fall, so, and again, I really would, depending on what parts of the parking lot, if we're now looking at doing this as a phased approach, then I think the question then becomes, what part with the school department is the part that they would like to see paved first? And how does that affect where cars park? And, I mean, like, it's gonna be hard enough, like, they're gonna have to just close down, like, if we're doing, like, the lower parking lot, because there's only one access into the school. So it's gonna have to be worked around them anyway as to how that would work, so, all right. One of the things that, Mark and I had talked about, we were talking about the pickleball courts just in passing, and then, we kind of had a conversation regarding the restrooms at, Legion. And, I actually would like for us to be able to get into them to see what they look like, but my recollection was then basically confirmed by Mark that, oh yeah, they're still that way. So it was many, many years ago. But I remember having a conversation that we needed to change out the toilets because they're not handicapped accessible. And I actually had thought that had been done, and apparently has not. So, you know, I know that they were and apparently still are. It's very dark in them. The lighting is not good. And so if we're going to, and I realize that if we do pickleball courts over there, the bathrooms are not going to be opened all the time because of the issues with that. But I do think that we need to put some money into updating those a little bit. And I have no idea what the cost of that would be. You know, I don't know if we're looking at, you know, needing a roof. I don't know any of those things, but, you know, I think that one of the things that we have found in the past several years is, you know, we have a lot of infrastructure, building infrastructure needs. You know, we know the DPW building has water issues. We know that the wastewater treatment plant was apparently having water issues too. So, I mean, I think we really have to start addressing those type of things too. And those things directly affect our employees, that they're working in those type of conditions. So while I do think that, you know, the parking lot needs to be done, I think maybe strategically it has to be done in the phased-in approach, and then be able to use some of this ARPA money to kind of check off a few of the other things that have been neglected over the years. But I do 100% support a pickleball court because it's something that we've been talking about for a very long time. It just has not come to fruition. And I think that, you know, this is a really good project that we can do for not a lot of money with ARPA funds, so there's no direct, you know, cost to the taxpayer, but it has a long-lasting benefit to the community. But we will talk about this again on the 8th. Bob, if you could find a time where the council could get into the bathrooms over at Legion, maybe like early evening before it gets dark. Maybe dusk would be good because then everyone could see how dark it really is in there. Because there are night games there. And it doesn't have to be a long, just like a quick meeting, meet over there, go through them, see what's going on, and then maybe get an update from Matt or someone at Parks who deals with that building to know what the issues are with it.
Yep, I talked to the building inspector also.
Okay,
Next Monday?
Can't we do it before our next meeting?
Yeah, I'd like to do it.
Same night. It's sunsetting after 7 or about 7 now, so
You're saying the same night as our next meeting?
do a 6
On the
o'clock
8th?
meetup before the.
Start a tailgate.
Yeah.
Stay what?
Fun.
I mean, if you wanted to meet on the 8th, I was just hoping that maybe we could see it to then have a discussion about what things we wanted to do with it, so they could get prices on it. So we could be ready to maybe make a decision on the 8th.
Gotcha.
So, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
Every
they can
day-
get pricing between now and then. They know what needs to be done, right?
Well, we don't know what, we haven't seen, we haven't put eyes on it to know what we wanna
Right.
do. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe we just pick a day and if whoever can go, goes. I mean, it's gonna have to be after work, obviously.
Right.
Next Monday?
Fine with me.
Meeting at 6 o'clock next Monday,
Thursday.
What meeting?
liquor license, season union.
Well, that should be a quick meeting.
Monday the 25th?
Yeah.
But there wasn't any time on
I don't have anything on Monday.
the email.
Hobby party.
It's, yeah, every Monday I'm supposed to work late, but it's okay.
Oh, we'll pick a different day.
No. Let's just get it done.
Whatever day.
I know, you're,
So what
Still
time do you
ain't
want to meet
called
over
back
there?
yet.
what's
What
that?
time do you want to meet over there?
6 o'clock, 6:30? I mean, it was still light when we got here, so,
Yeah, it doesn't get dark till
You mean this
10
coming
to 7.
Monday?
It's
you're talking
probably
about?
Yeah.
7.
Could we do like
6:45.
6:45?
Yeah.
Because that would give us enough time to finish whatever
What date is that?
we
then?
have
Make
to
that
do.
meeting
And then
5:30.
drive. We are meeting at 5:30?
I can make it I can make it 5:30.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's fine with me.
You want to do
What
5:30?
time?
No, they have a license
Oh,
meeting.
liquor license.
Try not to
Oh.
conflict meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did we, so,
6:30?
yeah,
March 25 at 6:30.
Or 6, maybe.
6:15?
Sure.
I just want to, well, I want to make sure, I don't know what the license committee meeting is, how long,
We can change the time.
no, but how long do you need for that meeting?
At least a half hour.
Like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
tops.
Okay, so let's do 6:15. You said you're going to start it at 5:30? Okay, so does that work for you, Jess? Chippy? All right, so let's say 6:15.
I'm just thinking
Gives her-
daylight, that's all.
Yeah,
We're good.
Should be good.
That's at Legion, right?
Unless I luckily get
Legion.
some more work.
okay, so 6:15 at Legion, we will just quickly meet, so if you post the meeting to be that we're going to be there at Legion. And then
Next
we,
Monday, correct?
yep. And then we can, based on what,
6:15?
yeah, based on what we find, we can make a decision regarding what we would like to see for quotes for our meeting on the 8th, okay?
Yep. All right, perfect.
All right, so I think that we are going to need to go into executive session and then come back out to open session to be able to take a vote on the manager's contract,
Yes.
okay? I don't think we'll be in executive session long, probably. Mark, do you wanna read those reasons for
Do
me?
you need to come back into open for
Yes,
the
'cause
DPW?
And-
So this is roll call vote to enter executive session to conduct strategy under MGL C30A, subsection 21, number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel / town manager contract. Then we're going to discuss under MGL C30A, subsection 22, number 3, discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, if any open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position, public body and the chair so declares. She declares.
I declare.
The United Public Service Employees Union, Local 242M, DPW Administrative Unit, Contract 2022 to 2025. Thirdly, under subsection 21, number 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair so declares that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on negotiating position of the public body, aka Thorndike Grammar School.
Okay. So we will adjourn back to open session from executive session. We are going to go back live on camera to take the vote on the town manager's contract, okay? So do I have a motion to enter executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Phil, second by Jessica. Roll call vote, Matt?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Jess?
Aye.
Mark?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, we will be back shortly. Okay, we are back from executive session. The next item on the agenda is approval of the town manager contract. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Phil, second by Carl. Any discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Anything else the council would like to discuss before we adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Matt, second by Jessica. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.